Good morning and welcome to the presentation of the final outcomes of the ISPAS project, Path to Successful Innovations. My name is Virginia Ciccone. I am Program Officer at Fondazione 1563, where we are hosting this event today. We are very pleased to have you here, so welcome. The ISPAS project is a project that received European funding within the framework of Horizon 2020 and within the call Research Innovation Needs and Skills Training in PhD programs. But I don't want to say too much about the project because this morning you will have the chance to hear a lot of details about the project itself and the final results that we achieved. So I'm very pleased now to leave the word to the Secretary General of Fondazione 1563, Laura Fornara, for the official welcome. Laura, please.
Thank you, Virginia. Thank you very much. And I'm really happy to have you here in Fondazione 1563 in Torino because I know that this is the first time you see each other together in person, and it's incredible. When we started this project, we didn't know what was going to happen, so it's important today to be in person, in my opinion. Also, if you know, today is not a great day for Europe, as you know. Anyway, I want to welcome you here in Torino, and I want to say just a few words about Fondazione 1563, which is an instrumental body of Compagnia di San Paolo. Compagnia di San Paolo is one of the biggest foundations in Europe, grant-making foundation, and Fondazione 1563 is a small foundation, but with important mission because, as you know, we preserve the historical archive of Compagnia di San Paolo. It's 2 kilometers of documents, and I think today you are going to visit it, as well as the collection of paintings related to the history of Compagnia di San Paolo. At the same time, we support research in the fields of the humanities. We have 2 programs. The first one is a program that we started more than 10 years ago and is related to the age and culture of the Baroque period. And the second one is quite new. It started in 2020. It's called the THP, Turing Humanities Program, and is focused on the research on global history. It's also a way for us to have scholars and researchers here in Torino, and to promote the role of Turin as one of the most important cities for the research in the humanities field. So, as a foundation, we work for our Compagnia di San Paolo, but also we work with University of Torino, with the Politecnico, and we want to be partner of research institution at a local level. In the past 3-4 years, we started to develop international programs because we think we are very committed in this goal, which is to spread the activity of the foundation also at European level. And to make this, it's the most important thing is to have relevant partners and to build partnerships, to foster collaborations at the European
Recording
level.
in progress.
So I'm very happy that ISPAS is an incredible occasion to perceive our goal, and also an opportunity to meet strong, serious institutions, and I hope that will be in future also other opportunity to collaborate and to work together. I don't want to speak too much because I know that this morning you have many things many work to do, and so I really thank you and really happy to see you here in Torino and especially to see you here in the in Fondazione 1563. I'm really sorry because I can't stay with you this morning because I have other meetings and I'm really sorry. But we will see you tomorrow morning. We will see you also tonight. And really thank you very much to be here, and I hope that this experience for your institutions and for you has been as important as it has been for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Laura. Before we get deeper into the content and the goals of the ISPAS project, I would like to leave the word to Eleonora Bonifacio, who is the Director of Doctoral School at the University of Torino, for another welcome before we start. Please, Eleonora, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. I'm really glad to open this meeting as the director of the Doctoral School of the University of Torino, which is quite big because it coordinates it coordinates 38 PhD programs in all fields of sciences. And this project, the ISPAS project, is of great interest for PhD schools, as I think it helps PhD students acquiring those skills that are now required for a successful career, both in the academia and in non-academic sectors. I know that a number of courses have been developed during your project, and they cover very interesting topics which are grouped, I think, under the umbrella of open science, innovation, open dissemination, open exploitation, and so on. And these are very hot topics, extremely important in doctoral training now, but I think they will become even more important in the future. And so the courses that were developed by the project are very useful for the Doctoral School of the University of Torino, but also to many other PhD schools. They were inserted in the school training portfolio, and I hope they will be made available also for future PhD students. The school has now a specific working group on complementary training whose work has taken the activities of the ISPAS project as the starting point. So really thank you for that. Unfortunately, at a certain point in the morning, I will have to leave this meeting, but I'm really interested in your activities and I will do my best to follow your workshop. So I wish you a very fruitful work and thank you again.
Thank you very much to Eleonora Bonifacio for her words and encouragement to continue with the ISPAS project. I'm now very pleased to introduce and leave the word to Mikhail Gradowski, who is Professor of Social Pedagogy at the University of Stavanger in Norway. The University of Stavanger is the coordinator of our ISPAS project. Please, Mikhail.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, dear partners, friends, and supporters. When I was putting the final touches to the application just before submitting it to the EU portal in spring 2020, I could not dare to dream we would be here in Turin for this final meeting in this wonderful palace. However, here we are, almost done with the project. I'm saying almost because there is still a technical review and there is a final review meeting that we'll have to go through. The last one will happen in May. Several days ago, when I had a meeting with our EU officer, Rinsky van den Berg, in Brussels, I was asked how I felt about this project and our achievements so far. My answer was that I was very proud, and indeed I am. Against all odds, all the hindrances the COVID-19 pandemic put in front of us, we've made it with flying colors. We set out to develop a new joint curricula of PhD courses that would take place in both academic and non-academic surroundings to equip PhD candidates with competences and skills in the areas of open innovation and open science, to facilitate their employment both in and outside of academia after their graduation. Our joint curricula addresses the recommendation of reinforcing tools, resources, and guidance in education, training, and employment to support our PhD candidates in managing their lifelong learning pathways. The development of our courses was organized based on the quadruple helix model of collaboration, where our academic partners collaborate with non-academic partners, as well as representatives of industry, public sector, politicians, and the most important group of stakeholders, at least for our project, the very PhD candidates. Several representatives of these groups will share their opinions and experience later today with us. This project would not be happening without the efforts of two courageous women whom I would like to thank first. These are Virginia Ciccona and Sara Levi-Sacerdoti. Thank you for having faith in this project and your support for it from the very stage of the idea to its finish. Your dedication and desire to make the project happen were of vital importance to ISPAS and its accomplishments. My next thanks go to University of Torino. First and foremost, it's important to mention the impeccable contribution of Chiara Marcella Inaudi and Elena Scislia. Chiara is the leader of the work package 2, Open Science, and Elena is a prima motor of Open Science, its popularizer and ambassador. Without your efforts, Chiara and Elena, and your own fire intrinsic motivation, there would be no ISPAS. I also would like to mention the contributions of Claudia Barale and Serena Ballarin. My thanks also go to the leaderships of both Fondazione 1563 and UNITO. Next in the line is our partner from Burgos, represented by Juan Carlos Martinez and his faithful Sancho Panza, Cristina Martinez. I would like to thank both of you for the unprecedented loyalty to the cause of ISPAS project and the desire to deliver quality-laden content to our PhD candidates in the area of open innovation. Our partner from Burgos has created and tried out 2 courses on open innovation and entrepreneurship. IDIBEL, our partner in Barcelona, prepared 5 courses in the area of life and health sciences. These courses are ready to be tried out, and in connection with this, I would like to thank Raul Diego Morales, Lydia, and Rosa Maria Melendo Hornero for their work. University of Girona in Catalonia has been both a platform for trying out the courses and a leading contributor in the process of development of the PhD candidate survey, which is ISPAS' contribution to the PhD tracking area. My thanks go to Professor Miguel Solá and Professor Germain Coenders-Gallard, who oversaw the creation and development of the survey. I would also like to thank Laura Vivas Martinez for her work with the mental validation of the survey questions. Next is our Bulgarian partners. The team led by Professor Petr Bojvalenkov consists of Associate Professor Konstantin Delchev, Todorka Alexandrova, Anna Branzova, Todor Branzov, and Lilia Simonova. ISPAS is a data backbone of the project. Petr is our data manager, and Todor is our data executive officer. Anna is responsible for the social media response, and Konstantin is the one who leads the work package 4 and is responsible for design and tryout of the 4 courses, 2 for the Bulgarian audience, 1 for the international audience, and 1 course which ISPAS did together with Fondazione, the course in digital humanities. In Norway, my support team includes Ulla Fegeberg, Marit Fosse from the research department, Lars Erik Hoff, Greta Karin Kalan, and Irene Lubeck from the Department of Economy. And I also would like to thank Truls Gide Jacobsen, Rune Fitjar Dahl, Turid Bogen, and Morten Tønnesen for their support and hard work to make this project possible. I would like to remind us that our courses for the skills in the area of open science and open innovation for the PhD candidates is not just about creating something that would put EU concept of open science into practice. As Elena Gischler reminded us in her FAIR Data Basics course, open science, or behind the concept of open science, is desire to tear down paywalls and making the results of the scientific endeavors accessible for all. And by doing this, we contribute to a more fair, more just world. And it's quite wonderful to think that we are not just producing courses that are needed, but we also do our little contribution so that this world and the scientific endeavors and results of science are accessible for all. That there are no outsiders who are unable to get touch in these results and use them in their decisions for the present and for the future. Thus, ISPAS is also the project of inclusion. Last but not least, I would like to thank all the members of the local and international advisory boards for their feedback and assessment that helped us along the way a lot. And to all my partners, it has been a privilege to lead this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mikhail, for your wonderful words. And thank you for all you have done as a coordinator for the very project. This wouldn't have been possible without you. We are now going to get a bit deeper into the analysis of the activities that have been done within ISPAS, and in particular in the area of the open science, open innovation, but also communication, dissemination, and exploitation. So we are starting with the activities on open innovation, and I'm leaving the word now to Juan Carlos Martinez Barrio, who is the Director of Projects Development Department and Project Manager of CII Burgos. And please, Juan Carlos, the floor is yours.
Hello, thank you very much. Let me see if I'm able to share my screen. Yes, I think so. Okay. So it's my pleasure to be here in Torino finally and to meet everybody in person. And as Mihail said, despite everything that all the stones that the COVID situation put in the way to the project development, we finally managed to deliver everything and to be here again together. So no, again to be here together. So let me go straight to my part as a coordinator of Work Package 3, the one which is on entrepreneurship and open innovation. Let me just quickly present you the main activities and results of this Work Package 3. This Work Package 3, it was, let's say, the key products of the Work Package were seven courses along with the training and analysis, which is being delivered right now. Since we try to stick to the initial idea of the project when we develop it, we have different deliverables and products in terms of the final format. So we decided to have, like, let's say, 3 offline courses and another 3 online, and another 3 online courses, and basically we could stick to the initial program we could deliver. So it was some risky and some complicated because of the situation, but fortunately we managed to deliver it properly in accordance with the initial plan. So these courses we define it like you can see on the screen. This is the first offline ones. The 3.1 is a course on entrepreneurship, always taking into account our target group, which is obviously the PhD students. Then the 3.2, which is open innovation, and then 3.6, which is digital humanities and cultural databases. When it comes to developing the first 2 ones, the entrepreneurship and open innovation ones, we took into account the essential or the need of devote a big part of the course on the motivational aspect as one of the most things, one of the main barriers for PhD students, but not only PhD students, but all the students at the university, at college, is the issue of motivation, because it's not entrepreneurship, for instance, is not like a natural way out after when you finish your career, your studies, your research, and everything. It's not that natural as just keep working on keep working on research or joining a research institution or academy or whatever. So motivation is a big part of the curriculum, of the motivational aspects, I mean, of these courses. When it comes to the online courses, the main deliverables are 3.3, which is on pitching, 3.4, which is on IP, on intellectual property, 3.5, which is on educational innovation, and 3.7, which is open innovation in biotech. So those are, some of them are called soft skills, like for instance, pitching, which is also an essential part on how to present your research product or you want to call it a product, your research results. IP as also an essential part of any development when we are dealing with research, innovation, technology. So how we protect our research results, educational innovation, and as an essential part of obviously of open innovation, and well, open innovation in bio as one focus open innovation branch. And then the final product of this work package 3 is the report, which is the open innovation training analysis, which is now being developed, being done, and just trying to assess the results of the surveys passed to the students and so on, see how room for improvement, see how we need to adopt a different approach or whatever, but well, so far the results are excellent, so I think it's not going to be a big deal. And then we now can take a look at the schedule of the deliverables and how they were completed according to plan. First two deliverables, 3.1 and 3.2, which is the open innovation and entrepreneurship, were completed in time. Materials and the tailor-made presentation prepared for the students, as these both courses were tried out, were delivered in person, so it required, let's say, a slight touch of personalization, something like that, this kind of tailor-made material, tailor-made presentation. So delivery 3.3 was completed by EDBEL, the same with 3.4 and 3.5. No, 3.5 was by IMIBAS, the same that 3.6 in time, according to schedule. Same goes for 3.7, also by EDBEL, completed in time. And as I said and mentioned before, the same happened with 3.8, which is as I mentioned, the report, which is being delivered right now. When it comes to the tryout, we managed to first, we did it in 3.1 and 3.2. We decided to merge the tryout because of this COVID situation in order to minimize the risks to be further postponed or even cancelled. So we consider it would be more secure to just to merge both courses and deliver at the same time. So it means just traveling once. With the exception of Girona, that we did a previous, let's say, workshop presentation that was delivered on October, previously to the rest of the tryouts, just to find out or to test the reaction of the PhD candidate students to this type of course. So as it worked well, we decided to move on, and we did the tryouts in Girona in November, December, then in Stavanger at the end of January, and here in Torino at UNITO, also in January, in person. It was a very good experience because take into account that in the three places, this ISPAS course was one of the first courses that was delivered in person after the COVID pandemic. So for the rest of tryouts scheduled in the Work Package 3, the 3.5 and 3.6, the ones managed by IMIBAS, both have been completed, and 3.3, 3.4, and 3.7, the one managed by EDBEL, are dealing with it right now. And basically, it's all I had to say in order to provide you with an overview of Work Package 3. So should you have any question or whatever, please feel free to ask. Thank you very much. Grazie.
Thank you very much, Juan Carlos, for this very interesting presentation on all the activities that have been done within the open innovation. It's quite impressive to see it on the screen. So thank you. I would now like to leave the word to Chiara Inaudi to talk about all the activities that have been done within the open science sphere. Chiara Inaudi is from the PhD office and the research division of the University of Torino. Please, Chiara, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Virginia. So I would like to share my screen. So let's see. Can you see it? Yes. Okay. So yes, the University of Torino was the leader of Work Package 2, dedicated to open science. And the main goal of the work package was, of course, to develop and deliver the training courses for PhD candidates in the area of open science, both in general, in its concepts and principle, and both more in deep, tackling tools that can be used, fair data management, and also communication and dissemination in the frame of open science. And the partners involved were the University of Torino, Fondazione, ISPAS, and IDBEL for what concerned developing and delivering the courses, and all academic partners were recipients of these courses. And you can see here the objectives of the work package as they were laid out in our project. And basically, you are going to see that every objective has been achieved because every objective has been developed in a different training course for PhD candidate. So you can see open science, fair data, also case studies to apply what you have learned in open science, specifically on fair data management and storytelling skills and social communication and science communication and social network in particular. So these are the courses that we have designed on open science, and you can see there is quite a list, and you can see the partner that developed said courses. And so this is the courses. I'm gonna now deep more in the courses that we actually delivered. Back into the list, as you can see, as I was saying, there are many, and we developed and delivered many of them. And while the training courses developed by IDBEL, which are more in depth on some topics and are related to the life science field, are designed and ready to be tried out. But now I'm going to be giving you some data about the one that we did try out and piloted during the project, that are these ones. So the Open Science A to Z and the Fair Data Basic are the one delivered by the University of Torino and by our wonderful teacher, Elena Giglia. And they are related. That means that we encourage PhD candidates to attend both courses. And you can see that we have done 5 editions. That means that we have done 1 edition for each academic partner, and also an edition for the PhD candidates at IDBEL. And the storytelling workshop was delivered by Fondazione, 1563, in 4 editions, 1 for each academic partners. And the Fairness of a Digital Archive was 1 edition because it was the case studies developed by Fondazione 1563 again, with the help of our teacher Elena Giglia, and was the case studies on their digital archive. And the science communication for researcher was the course delivered by ISPAS, one edition because it was open to all. And you can see that basically we have reached more than 250 participants in total with these courses. And I'm not going to go too deep in the courses because we have presentation later on this, but I want to just tell you a quick word about the Open Science to Z and the course and the FAIR Data Basic. You can see some nice screenshot from the video recording. And so this course is basically tackle all aspects of the Open Science. The starting point is this: is that Open Science is the right way to doing science, and it is the alternative to the current system. And we talk a lot about the European Commission commitment on open science, and we talked about the open science alternative. And in the FAIR Data Basics, we covered a lot, starting from what is FAIR data, what does it mean, what you need to care data, and we give PhD candidates, I think, a lot of tools on how to do it, how to care for your data, how to make your data fair. And there was some exercise, for example, how to draft the data management plan, which is going to be mandatory in the European projects. So I think it was Open Science and FAIR Data Basics were very dense courses, let's say. And the storytelling workshop was the first time that we did this kind of workshop. I think both Fondazione, who designed it, and for us, it was the first time at the University of Torino, that we did this kind of course, and they tried it out at the University of Torino and then give it again at the other academic partners. And you can see some nice screenshot from the video promotion of the course and from the presentation and recording of the course. And they tackle digital communication, the basic of storytelling, why a story is compelling, how can you apply storytelling principle to research communication. And they also presented the PhD candidate with case studies about storytelling works they have done during their years, starting from their archive. So it was very interesting. There was a lot of discussion between PhD candidate and trainers on the use of social media, what does it mean to storytell, let's say, research. So we were very pleased, and I know it was a lot of work, but we hope, at least at University of Torino, that we can do it again in the future. And then we have this science communication for researcher course that was developed by ISPAS, and as I said, it was open to all. You can see here two screenshots from the video recording, and I must say it's a very broad course. It's very dense again, and it tackles every aspect, in my opinion, of science communication for researcher. What does it mean? What are the content that you need to promote, and how you need to promote them if you want to reach different publics. So, of course, using all the kind of communication tools and technology that we have today. So, of course, they deep dive on social media, but also podcasts and websites and so on and so forth. And the course is divided in multiple modules, so you can go also and take one part if you're interested in, if you don't want to follow the entire course. So I think it's very interesting and very comprehensive. And Yes, these are the deliverables that of the work package 2 for the project, and they are important not only because we achieved the objectives that we have and the commitment with the European Commission, but also because they are actually resources that are now, in the spirit of the project, of course, open to all. So we have the Open Science to Data and Fair Data Basic and also the Science Communication for Researcher online on the Zenodo platform. And the Handbook of Storytelling is a deliverable that Fondazione 1563 prepared after the storytelling course, and of course also the design course by Edie Bell will be available. And yes, they are available on Zenodo. You can see that we create community, so it's easy to find. You can go on Zenodo and search for ISPAS. You will find all these free communities, and there are lots of materials. And of course, you will find also all the information, the syllabus, and the links to the content in the website of the project going on curriculum of courses. And I don't want to spoil anything because we have a nice recording speech from Elena Giglia about their courses, of course, Open Science and Fair Data. But I just want to say that already now on Zenodo, the analytics are very, very good in my opinion, considering that this was a one-year project. And we have already, I don't know, the triple, the quadruple of people that downloaded our courses with respect to the PhD candidate that attended the courses. So this is a great achievement in my opinion, and it's not going to stop because we are going to promote the material further. And so I think that we can see with this information that what Michael was saying is true. We are making a difference, and we are seeing open science in action in this part. Yes, so I will thank you all. I'm finished. I didn't talk too long, and I just want to thank you very, very, very much, all of you, for the collaboration. Michael in particular for his work from the beginning, from the application of the project till now, and Fondazione, which was our academic partner in our territory. It was wonderful to work with them, and of course Elena Giglia, which is our trainer of Open Science. She couldn't be here today, but she has a speech prepared for us, and it was wonderful to work with her because she's very, very committed, and so thank you all.
Thank you so much, Chiara, for giving us this very rich and complete overview of all the activities that we have been doing on open science. As Fondazione, we were very pleased to also collaborate with the University of Torino on the storytelling workshop and the fair data workshop, as well as also of collaborating with the other partners. We will be talking more about the storytelling course later, so I'm not going to say too much. It's now time for us to hear about all the very important and quite challenging as well work that has been done on communication and dissemination and exploitation activities in regards to the ISPAS project. And this is why I'm leaving the word to Konstantin Deljev, who is researcher at the Institute of Mathematics and Informatics at the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. Please, Konstantin.
Thank you. Let's see if there we go, full screen. So, communication and dissemination of the results. First, thank you for already starting with this and stating the results on Zenodo. I myself saw them and thought they were pretty encouraging, but considering the fact that we are currently still seeing updates and uploads of course material, was a little bit hesitant to include them. In fact, Zenodo is our strongest performing network presence currently. And this also comes to show the importance of using Zenodo as a repository for such materials. Regardless of the rest, ISPAS has a presence in Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I will be much shorter. As you've seen previously, I tend to be very short and on the point. Facebook has 32 posts, 22 shares of them, and highest reach of 1,100. This is maximal reach, not total reach, of course. Instagram, we haven't had the ability to post numerous pictures because, as you might have guessed, Zoom screenshots are no one's favorite type of photo content. Instagram would have performed much, much stronger if we could gather more PhD students in one place and their faces were visible. So here we have 15 followers, 16 posts. Twitter. Twitter is having a lot of impressions, but relatively little followers. We will be analyzing this further. And LinkedIn is mostly doing as expected. The website for February has 1,100 views and nearly 200 unique visitors, nearly 900 unique clicks, and mind you, we are still uploading the bulk of the material there. I included the website I went against, including Zenodo. What we see here is that we have relatively decent social network presence without having too much content in there. Not all partners provided sufficiently frequent updates of the content, and I hope that in the recent days we will have a lot more presence in the press announcements, websites, and social medias of the partners. I also like to thank to those of the partners who communicated with Anna Brunzova and the rest of our team to provide regular updates of their courses and regular updates on their announcements. This has been communicated also previously that the social media presence relies on what we get. Physical dissemination. Physical dissemination, even considering the pandemic, has been very good. I will not cover the various activities of the other partners because I do not want to speak for someone else here. And I know that Michiel, for example, has planned a lot of stuff, and in Spain and in Italy we also had physical meetings where the project was presented to PhD students and so on, right? On Bulgarian side, we managed to get a couple of very good opportunities. And first was the European Researchers' Night, which is the biggest popular science event in the country and was funded under Horizon 2020. It was officially opened by Commissioner Gabriel, and we managed to have the Commissioner for Research, Innovation and Youth, and about 150 young people, most of them students and researchers, and have materials for the ISPAS project. This is an example from the event with the Commissioner Gabriel in front. We also presented the project in several professional events, including the National Coding Theory Seminar, the Spring Conference of the Union of Bulgarian Mathematicians, and a conference, national but with international presence, STEM education with science and innovation. For this picture, I chose to show the National Seminar of Coding Theory because, well, it was held in the most picturesque place of them all, and we have an inspiring picture of one of the youngest presenters there. If we happen to continue our collaboration under another project, we will be glad to welcome you in this lovely place in southern Bulgaria called Zlatograd. The results that we see, first, vast geographic interest towards the courses. We saw participants in the courses outside of the partnering universities, and this is very good. This means that communicating through academic channels, which I haven't included here, and social medias did their job. We had people from the Arabic countries wanting to participate in the courses. We had people from Latin America wanting to participate in the courses, and people from all Europe wanting to participate in the courses. This was especially evident in the online courses, and one can say that this is a very good measure for the fact that we managed to reach out to our target audience. We also had separate communication campaigns with other academic institutions in Bulgaria and other academic institutions with which the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences has various bilateral agreements. And I'm happy to announce that there are already inquiries for the course materials and new editions of the courses under the projects. So we have inquiries for future editions of the storytelling course, for future editions of the Open Science course, for future editions of our joint course with Fondazione too. So this is indeed extremely optimistic. Thank you for the attention, and thank you for the kind words of the previous speakers, and I hope that we'll continue our collaboration.
Thank you very much, Konstantin, for this overview on communication. It is great to hear that there was a lot of interest from PhD students from many countries, not only the countries of us partners. Now we are moving on to get a little bit deeper into the presentation of the training courses themselves that each partner delivered. We will be starting with the presentation of the Open Science courses delivered by the University of Torino and particularly by Elena Giglia, as Chiara has already mentioned before. So unfortunately, Elena cannot be here with us today. She's very sorry about this, but she recorded a very nice presentation that we will be hearing in a moment. So Elena Giglia is the head of the Open Science unit at the University of Turin. She has also been part of the European Open Science Network for many years, attending national and international conferences and also European workshops. And she also writes and lectures on open science and open access. I'm now asking to our IT support if they can please show the video of Elena. Thank you. Just a second.
Good morning, I'm Elena Giglia. I work at the University of Turin. I'm sorry, I really apologize not to be with you this morning, but I have to give another training course actually, and my short talk would be precisely about an overview of the training courses we gave during the ISPAS project. So as you can see from the syllabus, we had 4 modules on open science, starting from what's wrong with the current scholarly communication system, why do we need open science, and some practical tools to open up every step of your research with a specific module on open access to publications. We saw how to do open science in a proper way, meaning publishing and depositing. And then we add a specific module on European policies, the European Open Science Cloud, and mainly Horizon Europe, because you know that in Horizon Europe, open science is evaluated at the proposal stage. So that's why it's so important to learn how to do open science in practice. And then we talked about fair data management. So again, our starting point was how to properly manage your data, how to make them fair, findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable, and if possible, how to open the data, because the principle in Europe now for all research is as open as possible, as close as necessary. So all data should be open by default. You have to keep them closed only if you have some reason. And we stressed a lot the difference between fair data and open data, because findable, accessible does not mean open. And as we do what we preach, all the training material is available in Zenodo, in the ISPAS community, with a Creative Commons license. You can reuse the slide, you can reuse the photos are all mine. We also put in Zenodo the recordings, so feel free to reuse, which seems that many people did, because I'm impressed by the number of downloads and views, because as you can see, we have many more downloads than the actual participants to the course, which means that training on open science and fair data is actually needed. Something about the approach. First of all, listening to the needs. We used a lot Mentimeter, and during our first meeting, I asked participants to type some topics they would expect to be addressed during the course. Here you can see some example. I highlight only a couple of them. Open science options for publishing papers, because there is a clear confusion between open science and open access. Open science does not equate to open access. Open access is just one of the components of open science. Open science is a wider concept. Then the other one, how do we afford to publish when it's so expensive? Again, another wrong concept, because open access is not just publishing, it's also self-archiving, and self-archiving is always for free. And it's not true that you always pay to publish, because only 29% of open access, I mean native full open access journals, asks for an APC. But hopefully there was also a lot of interest for data. So how to share not only the paper, but the data. The starting point was actually, I would say, a bit low. As you can see, a lot of blue bars, which means ground zero, and a lot of beginners. But rightly so, because when I ask, have you ever attended an open science course before? They say no. But I would say that many steps later, you see that the blue bar disappeared, so ground zero disappeared, much more intermediate, let's say, levels, okay? So in my opinion, this is a good achievement of the training course. The only negative remark is about the European Open Science Cloud. When I asked, have you ever heard about the European Open Science Cloud before the course? The overwhelmingly answer was no, okay? Which is a bit, worrying, and slightly better for fair data, findable, accessible, interoperable, reusable, which are, I would say, the building blocks of the EOSC. But it's really worrying, because the EOSC is the future of research in Europe, a huge investment by the European Commission. It is being built bottom up. engaging researchers in task forces, in working groups, and so on, but it seems there is still little awareness. Problem is that fair data management and open science are mandatory in Horizon Europe. And not only they are mandatory, but your proposal will be evaluated on how you properly manage the data according to the FAIR principles and on how you will adapt and adopt open science practices to your research. So I think here more training is needed. Another approach, debate the common myths. So I suggested some sentences like, today reading is for free, why should I pay to publish, the impact factor is a measure of quality, the current research assessment improves research quality. We discussed all these sentences because as you can imagine, they are all false. Okay, they are just myths. I tried to give evidence. Okay, so in every slide they found the evidence when I gave data or when I made a statement. Then there is the corresponding source. So today reading is not for free. We actually pay $10 billion per year in subscriptions. The impact factor is simply a game and is a useless indicator, is meaningless. And we also examined all the perverse effects coming from this obsession for research, because when you are so pressured to publish, then you do whatever it takes to publish in the highest impact factor journal, including fabricating or falsifying the data. So we discussed that a lot. Because my purpose here was not only to explain what open science is, my purpose was to reasoning on the transformative potential. So how open science can fix, let's say, the broken system of scholarly communication. If not, I think that people could see open science just the ultimate fashion in scholarly communication, or simply just, oh yes, another administrative burden, oh yes, I have to do it, without, let's say, acknowledging really the potential and the opportunities behind open science. Another approach, starting from real life. So I asked, have you ever lost your data? And as you can see, they absolutely, they could relate to this situation. Have you ever experienced to open a file, a data file, and not being able to interpret the data? And again, a lot of examples coming from the real life. First of all, because I wanted them to relate with something, so not just giving theory about data management. And secondly, because I wanted to give them tools to avoid being in trouble again. Because if you think of it, all in all, open science is just science done right. And then we try to contextualize. We are living in a pandemic. We have been living since 2 years in a pandemic. So we tried to see all the lessons learned from COVID, which, if you think it from another perspective, is speaking about the benefits of open science, because open data save lives, as you can see here, and the COVID-19 crisis has made openness seem the logical choice, because if you don't share, nobody can, can create new knowledge. And it was particularly clear during the pandemic. Then I always try to get feedback, not like, the satisfaction survey at the end of the course, but asking them in an informal way to write down 3 concepts, 3 ideas that the specific module left. And these are the words, the cloud words coming from the first module, so the module about what's wrong. So as you can see here, retraction, the money, the impact factor, science as a business, you pay for your own work, the amount of money involved, and so on. So I'm very happy. I would say that the key messages really go through. And I also asked for a specific feedback because after the first module given here at the University of Turin, a lot of students failed the test. So we had a specific meeting only with people who failed the test, and I asked them why. So they gave me some reasons, okay, and they were really happy because they told me, oh, but it's not so common that a teacher is asking us why did you fail the test, and they gave me a really I would say insightful suggestion, which is to include in the Menti after each module some checks, okay, some questions very similar to the one that they would find in the final test, just to check if the concept was clear, but immediately after the test. So I was really very happy about this meeting too. Another thing I asked them is to look ahead. So do you think you will be able to apply, to practice what you learn? And I would say I'm very happy because the common answer was, I'll try to do my best. So this is precisely the spirit of this course. It's not just theory, it's about practicing open science. So you will try to apply in your daily workflow what you learn during the course. And then a final slide about connecting the dots. So this was the final feedback I asked them about the entire course. And I would say I'm happy because, as you can see, very useful, very useful. Someone also said too short, which, come on, was 12 and plus 9 hours. There is also something completely useless, which we should investigate. But what struck me was useful but difficult to practice, which means that we still have a lot to do to change the system, okay? Because unless you change the research assessment criteria, open science will still be difficult to practice. And in the end, look at the feelings, because I didn't ask only for, let's say, for the theory, so for let's say for real, I would say, yes, some practical achievements, but I also asked about the feelings, okay, that the course inspired. And look at this: hope, change, inspiring, optimism, enthusiastic, opening the mind, revolution, cooperation, a different point of view, change perspective, which was precisely in my mind the, let's say, the purpose of this course, because in the end this is what really matters. So I thank you all because you gave me the opportunity to give these training courses, and I also thank the ISPAS project for being part of this change. So really thank you, and I hope you enjoy the presentation. Bye.
Thank you to Elena for this inspiring presentation. It looked like she was here with us somehow, so it was very nice. We're now moving on to analyzing the courses that were delivered within the open innovation area. So I'm giving the word again to Juan Carlos for a presentation of such courses. Thank you, Juan Carlos.
Hello again. Let me just. Okay. Yes. Okay. So when we started the meeting and you asked me if I had any presentation, and I told you that I have 3 of them. It's because I didn't know how to present this course. I have prepared a more technical presentation, but also I brought with me the presentation where I used to present the actual students, the candidates during the course, which is less technical, but probably is more real. So well, I decided to use this now. So please allow me just to provide you with an overview on how I presented during the 3 tryouts the course to the candidates, because as I explained in my previous presentation, it's really important, the motivational part in this course. That's why when the situation was more complicated than now because of the COVID issue, when we were also thinking of moving the presential courses into online courses, I have to consider it, of course, but then I realized that the peculiarities of this entrepreneurship and open innovation stuff is not the more appropriate ones to go offline, because of how we conceive it since the beginning, in taking into account this essential motivational part. So in the case we managed, so we did it. So then please allow me this overview on how I presented during the courses to the students, to the candidates, the course. So I started just before presenting anything on the course with this slide, which is a motivational story on a guy, a very peculiar guy that was called Rudiger, a guy with not any skill, with nothing of physical, not any skill at all. And he was able to play in the National College Football Association of the United States. So after that, the story, a movie was recorded based on that story, on how a guy with not any skill, not anything, everything against him, was able to fulfill his dream. So the idea was to show, so if this guy with nothing was able to do this, so imagine the PhD candidates with the background they have, the research, the knowledge, the skills, what they can do. So I started the presentation, the course with that story, and then when we move forward, just to delve deeper into the course. So in this case, also, I'm going to provide an overview on the merge of both courses, as it was how we did it, the entrepreneurship and open innovation. So also taking into account the complementarity of both topics, entrepreneurship and open innovation. As open innovation, some of the tools, most of the tools that are used in open innovation are also commonly used in entrepreneurship. As at the end of the day, open innovation is a development of a product, a service, or a solution, and so on. And entrepreneurship is pretty much the same. So I presented that way. First, we went into entrepreneurship. So this is where we did, let's say, the first hour of the course. So just providing the candidates with the presentation of the topics we were about to deal with during the course. This course lasted for 1 week, an estimation of 20 hours, and the first hour, the first 45 minutes, first hour, something like that, was devoted to presenting the schedule of the course, the topics, the contents, main contents, the schedule, main contents, and also basic concept, just to start communicating these essentials, these basic topics, the approach we're about to adopt, as it was going to be a very practical course in terms of interaction. That's another of the things that refrain us to go offline, because of this interactive component, because we were working in groups all the time, just dealing with materials like with markers and different, with papers and stuff. And also taking into account that the last part of the course, the open innovation part, was a totally, like the last day, a totally working group on the solution that I'm going to explain. So, well, in this entrepreneurship course, so the title is How to Start Up a Business from a PhD program. And also, or more exactly, most precisely, from a PhD idea, from a research idea, research result. So the ultimate goal is to encourage students, candidates, sorry, I normally say students, but I know they are more candidates. So try to offer them the possibility to start up a business based on their research, on their idea, or try to also to enlighten how the issue that a research, a technology, and innovation could be also a business idea. And also you can make money out of it, and also eventually make a living out of it. So how to do that is by improving entrepreneurship skills by combining the toy model, the lean startup, and agile development methodologies. There are two different methodologies used normally in different environments, different backgrounds, different stories, but that can be easily combined. The first one, the toy model, is a model that was developed in Finland. It's a branch out of the Jyväskylä University, and it's based on learning by doing. It's actually, and currently at this moment, there's an official degree in that Jyväskylä University, where students from the very first day when they enroll this degree, they enroll an actual cooperative, an actual company, and they start doing business in the very first day. So we try to pick up some of the tools they use here, of the lean startup also, which is obviously the most famous one. Is like, let's say the Bible of the Silicon Valley in California, the United States. And this methodology comes from the lean management that was developed in Japan back in the 80s for the industry. And then agile development methodologies, which are commonly used for software developers. And that's the way they develop new apps, new software products and services. So we pick up the more convenient parts and tools from these three methodologies, and we merge it up in order to provide the candidates with the most accurate and appropriate tools we could find. When it comes to the structure of the entrepreneurship part, we split it out in 4 modules and 4 parts. The first one is related to personal autonomy, on problem solving and so on, leadership, on how to manage teams, and innovation, so how to deal with creativity, development of ideas and so on, and then the more pure business abilities on business model, business modeling, and so on. Then we move to the open innovation part, which is, well, I always explain to the students that this is the technical definition, which is, you can say, a very long sentence: understanding the interaction among entrepreneurs, public administration, organization, and companies, so entrepreneurs can take on the technological or technical challenges launched by the stakeholders involved in the process. So what I explained to the students that despite this strange definition, they were going to understand it perfectly, because we were going to get involved in a practical case. So we have 2 options for this practical case: is to try to come up with a real challenge issued by an actual organization, like a university or a company or something like that. That was the original idea, but despite also the COVID situation, it was more complicated. So there was the plan B, which I produced a case for the students, taking into account their different profiles. And so I prepared on the spot a case for the candidates. This case was about, we imagined a technical or a commercial problem within an organization or a company, where this organization or a company didn't have the internal knowledge to solve it out the situation, so we launched it, this challenge for the candidates. So they could make use of the tools they have practiced along the week, and then the very last day of the course, they have time to work on this challenge and to come up with a solution, and also to present the solution. And it's what we successfully did in Girona, Stavanger, and Torino, with amazing, very good solutions. And also, the good thing of these challenges that were based on actual cases of companies and organizations that we started in advance. So then, taking this into account, this open innovation stuff, how it works and how we present it to a student is, we have a company, we have an organization with a technical or commercial problem, and this company or this organization doesn't know how to solve it out. This company, this organization in general, decided to enter to enter in an open innovation dynamic or process, and openly launch a challenge to, for instance, to teams of entrepreneurs, to small companies, to small SMEs, to other startups, and say, hey guys, listen, we have this problem, you are able to solve it out, we will consider your solution, and we eventually adopt it, and we eventually hire you, or we hire your team, or we eventually will buy your solution. What kind of solution or problems can be, for instance, a technical problem where the company doesn't know how to produce a certain part of their value chain or their product, or for instance, a commercial issue. Imagine that a company is launching a new product and they don't know how to commercialize it, because they see that the competition is doing the same at lower prices. So for them, it's a real problem, because they don't know how to approach it. They don't know what to do. So they say, hey, listen, we need a solution in order on how can we manage to market this new product. We were not able to come to the to the product market fit. So you are able to do that. You are able to provide us with a good advice, with a good solution on how to do it. We will eventually buy your solution. That is basically how it works. You see the technical stages here on the slide. Organization with an interest in actively participating in an open innovation dynamic are invited to present their challenges. The challenges are assessed and defined by a committee in order to estimate their feasibility. The call for solutions is open for the PhD students, and then the group workshops will work in order to come up with a solution, and then the ideas and solutions developed will be presented to the challenges owners at the end of the program. The only difference we have to adapt, we have to improvise on the spot, is that we didn't have the challenges owners because of the COVID situation. But apart from that, we follow the schedule of the program perfectly. And then we continue with these presentations with trying to come up with the basic concepts on business modeling, on what a business model means, what is. We presented an actual case on a company that had to change the business model along the way because otherwise they had failed, and so on. And then the different part of the process of the starting up and so on. And basically, this is what we did during the tryouts with the students during a week, 20 hours of on-the-spot work, along with some, let's say, homework. And yeah, basically that was it. At the end of, we estimated on how to evaluate the courses on the final presentation on the solution, on a pass or fail, on a pass or fail basis. We estimated per theoretical 2 credits per course and so on. But yeah, basically it was. So you have any question? Or that was how we presented the course and how we developed it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Juan Carlos. It was very, very interesting to hear all the work that you have done on open innovation and all these very interesting courses that you developed and offered, despite all the difficulties that we all faced in having to adapt to the pandemic and to switching online, some courses that were originally conceived to be online, to be in person. So I think that the morning is very dense. We are giving a lot of information about our courses and about the ISPAS project. So we can take a 15-minute break for a coffee, even for our audience, and we can come back at 11:35 to continue with the further presentation of the other courses and the other feedback that we will get from also some PhD candidates that we invited and from some members of our International Advisory Board. So we'll see you back at 11:35 and we are taking a short break. Thank you. Hello, we are back after the break. So we are now continuing with the presentation of the training courses that we as partners delivered as part of ISPAS. It's now our turn, the turn of Fondazione. So I'm here with Elisabetta Ballaira, who is the Executive Director of Fondazione, and we are going to tell you how Fondazione contributed to the ISPAS project, and then we will be focusing specifically on our storytelling course. So please, Elisabetta.
Thank you, Virginia. At the beginning, just a few words to say welcome to all of you and to say why it is an important moment that marks the end of a journey, but also, I hope, the beginning of our relationships. Also, a few words to say that it was a very impressive experience for all of us, for our team. I would like at this time to thank all of the colleagues, Sara Lady Sacerdoti. She moves from Fondazione 1563 to Collegio Carlo Alberto some months ago, but we miss her so much. And I would like to say thanks of all my colleagues, a working group that has worked hard, as well proven orchestra. But in particular, I would like to say thanks, really thanks, to Virginia Ciccone. She was fantastic. She was our representative and our organizer of this project. Now, we go on. We would like to start our presentation with a short overview of the way in which Fondazione 1563 contributes to the ISPAS project. Fondazione 1563 has been contributing to the project by providing to the PhD students some training activities related to the field of open science and open innovation, which were focused on storytelling, on digital archiving, and also on fair data in relation to the historical archive of the Compagnia di San Paolo, which Fondazione 1563 preserves and manages, and on the very important matter of data interoperability and information systems. In particular, Fondazione 1563 delivered 4 times one of each of ISPAS academic partners, the storytelling workshop, Be Strategic in Your Job and in Your Life. And then it was involved, together with the Università di Torino, University of Torino, in the organization of the workshop Fairness of Digital Archive, devoted to testing in terms of fair data, the maturity of digital archiving of Compagnia di San Paolo. Then we also organized, together with the Institute of Mathematics and Informatics, the Information Systems and Cultural Institutions workshop, during which we presented the digital archives and photo library of Fondazione 1563, and we asked the participants to analyze and evaluate the technical and design aspect of portal of Fondazione 1563 digital archives and collections and its photo library, of course, in order to provide us with some suggestions on possible improvements in terms of user experience, especially in order to facilitate the user search of information. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, all the training activities had been conducted online on Zoom, except for the Information Systems and Cultural Institutions workshop that we were able to host in presence at Fondazione in late January, some weeks ago, together with the Institute of Mathematics and Informatics, with Konstantin Delchev, of course, as teacher and tutor of the workshop. Now we would like to briefly present you the storytelling workshop, Be Strategic in Your Job and in Your Life, which consisted in 4 online modules of 4 hours each, that we were focused on storytelling and several other key aspects of communication in general, and more specifically, public speaking and digital communications, with particular focus on the use of social media and LinkedIn specifically, to analyze how social media can be a useful tool to further promote knowledge and dissemination of academic research. The workshop also included the presentation of 3 case studies that were 3 academic research projects of Fondazione 1563 that were turned into storytelling. Virginia.
So the storytelling course included a theoretical but also a practical part. And so what we decided to do was to actually really engage the PhD students in practicing the theory they just learned. But actually now, more than talking very much about the very content of the workshop, I would like to tell you a little bit how we came up with the suggestion of delivering a storytelling workshop and the methodology that Fondazione decided to use for the course, because I think that this could be quite interesting. So, first of all, as Mikhail already said, Fondazione is a non-academic institution, and the very asset of our ISPAS project was to combine expertise of academic and non-academic institutions. But so we are not really professional trainers, so it was quite challenging for us to put together and deliver an entire course, especially because we were delivering it to PhD students. But at the same time, I also want to say that we had an asset on our side. Our staff is made mostly of archivists and art historians, and we're quite used, all of us, to present in public the research project of Fondazione, either at public lectures or seminars. So we were already used to public presentation. And then on the other hand, because of the mission of Fondazione, which is to foster researchers working in the humanities field, we're quite used to deal with researchers that have just earned or that are earning their PhD. So we are already kind of working in the field of higher education, which is the very focus of the ISPAS project. And I also want to say that probably two of the most fascinating components of our job is really being able to listen to the studies of researchers, so learn more about what they are interested in and what they are researching. And the other aspect that I want to mention is that we are lucky that we can actually tell to the audience the project that Fondazione is carrying out. So we were thinking these were two components to take into account into the ISPAS project, and that's why we came up to the partners with the suggestion of delivering an open course on storytelling, since one of the key elements of the ISPAS project was precisely the open science component. I have to say that our suggestion was very well received by the partners, and this is where our major work started, because we had to understand how we could turn our professional expertise into a course to be delivered to PhD students that not only had different backgrounds, but also were coming from different universities located in different places in Europe. So we realized that we immediately had to deepen our skills in storytelling, and so we decided to do what we actually asked then to our PhD students. So we had to challenge ourselves and get out of our comfort zone. So based on our experiences at presenting the research project of Fondazione, we already knew that it was quite difficult to communicate in a successful and engaging way the research project of Fondazione, because not all the audience is so familiar with the topics that we usually manage in terms of archiving or history. So before coming up with the syllabus of the storytelling course, all our staff decided to actually take a storytelling course. We contacted a professional into communication, Donatella Romano, that you have met during our storytelling course. And she was great because she was really helping us into seeing our research project from a different perspective and with a different mindset, which is the one of the professional communicator. So thanks to her help too, we were really starting to rethink about our research projects and to write some stories on them in order to successfully communicate them to our audience. So we selected 3 research projects that we have been working on for quite some time. One is called From Papers to Lives, and it's related to the Egeli Archival Fund. Another one is a project on the virtual reconstruction of the exhibition on Baroque that took place in Torino in 1937. And another one is focused on our photo library and specifically on the building where we are today, which used to be called the Educatorio Duchessa Isabella and used to be a school for young ladies. And so we decided to use storytelling to successfully tell our audience about our projects. And while we were writing these stories, we realized that a very powerful narration could come out of it, and that it could have been a good idea to also present to the PhD students during the course that we deliver for ISPAS our own perspective and the challenges that we had to face in writing these projects. So that's why the last module of the storytelling course was specifically focused on the presentation of these 3 case studies of Fondazione that were turned into storytelling. And I want to say that, that the PhD students reacted very positively to these case studies. Even PhD students who didn't have a specific background in art and history were able to appreciate and engage with them. And we could see, even through Zoom, that some of them were very moved because One of the case studies that we selected is linked to a very big tragedy, to the confiscation of properties to the Jewish people after the enactment of the fascist laws in 1938. So we could see that they were really relating to that. And so now, to give you a better idea of the kind of storytelling that we developed starting from our own case studies, we are going to show you a very short recording of one of the sessions that is devoted to the Baroque exhibition that took place in Torino in 1937, where you will see how a flying boat was included in the exhibition. I'm asking to our IT support if they can please show a part of the recording. Thank you.
So I'm here today to tell you a story about a boat, actually a flying boat. Have you ever seen a flying boat? It happened in Turin. It was winter 1937. Let me show you.
Il trasporto a Palazzo Carignano della Peota Bucintoro, costruita nel 1730 per il re di Sardegna Carlo Emanuele III, che serviva per gli svaghi della famiglia reale durante la permanenza nel castello del Valentino sulle rive del Po e che figurerà alla mostra del barocco piemontese che verrà inaugurata nel prossimo maggio nello storico palazzo, costruito sui disegni del famoso architetto Guarino Guarini nel 1680, nel pieno vigore dello stile, che in questa mostra avrà la sua più ampia documentazione.
The boat you have just seen in the video is the Peota, the roller yacht commissioned in Venice in 1731 by the Duke of Savoy, a king of Sardinia, Charles Emmanuel III. The Peota traveled by land and air, as the local newspaper said back then. It moved slowly, towed on wheels, through the city center streets. It got to Palazzo Carignano, where it was lifted up to the first floor and showcased in one of the rooms of the Piemontese Baroque exhibition, the great exhibition on the 17th and 18th century Piedmontese art, held from June to December 1937. Definitely, it was no small feat to bring to the exhibit such a large art piece as the Peota is, that is 16 meters long, around 3 meters wide, and 6 tons in weight. But the Piemontese Baroque exhibition wasn't a small feat itself. It reached even higher achievements. The exhibition achieved to put three different locations together. In fact, it encompassed Palazzo Madama and Palazzo Carignano in Turin and the hunting lodge in Stupinigi, that today is roughly 45 minutes from Turin city center. Connecting several museums and cultural institutions seems pretty obvious today, but surely it was in 1937, especially because those locations at that point in time had different purposes and owners. The Stupinigi hunting lodge had been a Savoy Royal House property until 1919 and opened to the public in the mid-20s as Museum of Art and Portraiture, while Palazzo Madama, that was a Savoy residence as well, has housed the collection of Zurich Civic Museum of Ancient Art since the 30s. At the time of the exhibition, we said 1937, the hunting lodge and Palazzo Madama were already museums. In a way, their collections were complementary to the artworks on view in Palazzo Carignano, that hosted 56 rooms in a rich and extensive overview on the Piemontese artistic production of the 17th and 18th century. Nearly 200,000 visitors in 6 months could see more than 300 art pieces, among painting, sculpture, architecture, scenography, furniture, object, metalwork, gold and silverware, documents, and binding. In order not to get the visitor bored, the exhibition alternated traditional displays to period room that aim to showcase work of the creative art in an authentic setting. The room with the Peota we saw before is an example. It It was intended to hark back to a liver landing, to suggest the pleasant life in the countryside, but where there were many more period rooms. The 17th century bedroom that you are looking now, the reconstruction of St. John Hospital Pharmacy in Turin and its own laboratory, a typical Piedmontese living room with tapestry and marquetry furniture, a throne room, a living room in the Chinese space, the refectory from the sanctuary at Picoforte, a room with 5 small reconstruction of theatre to display stage design. The exhibition
This was just to give you a better idea of what we did. So thank you. I hope this was of interest for the partners and our audience. And we are now moving on to leave the word to IDBEL, and particularly to Rosa Melendor-Nero, talent acquisition specialist at IDBEL, to present the activities and trainings that IDBEL developed for the project. Thank you, Rosa.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here and to meet you in person. I'm going to share my presentation. Okay, first of all, I would like to briefly introduce IDBEL. The institute, the Verbice Biomedical Research Institute, is a research center in biomedicine focused in 4 research areas: cancer, neuroscience, translational medicine, and regenerative medicine. IDBEL is located in Hospitalet de Llobregat. It's close to Barcelona, and it's a research center from Catalan government and a member of the campus of international of the University of Barcelona. Also, in 2015, the European Commission recognized IDBEL with the HR Excellence in Research Award. Here we can see the 4 research areas that I told you: cancer, neuroscience, transnational medicine, and regenerative medicine. Also, I would like to share with you our mission and vision. Our mission is what do we do, and is to develop and apply research of excellence in order to contribute to the improvement of the quality of life of citizens. And about our vision, is what do we want? That is to become an European reference in health science by attracting and retaining research talent in health science. About the ISPAS project, we have created 3 different courses related with open science. The first one is information security and data privacy in clinical and biomedical research. The second one is about biobanking. And the third one, that is the most recently one, it's about open access publishing and the future of scholarly communication. The first course, the objective of this course is to provide an overview of the ethical foundations and regularity framework that relate to the planning, collection, storage, and dimension of the data in clinical and biomedical research. And it has 5 modules. The first one is an introduction. The second one, it's about the security information in clinical research. The third one is about data. The fourth one is about protection measures. And the last one about data breach. The second course, it's about biobanking, human sample and data management for research. And the objective of this course is to provide an overview of the activity of biobanks as provider quality biosources and its impact on research. particularly in the field of personalized medicine. And this course has two main modules. The first one is about it's an introduction, and the second is about biobank. The third one, as I mentioned, it's the one that we created from November 2021 until now. And the main objective is to learn about the basic of scholarly publishing, the publication cycles, and the different type of scholarly publishers existing nowadays. This course is addressed to early career researchers, but also to all career stages and anyone interested in this topic. This course contains only one module, but with 4 units. The first unit is about the origin of scholarly publication and scholarly publishing nowadays. The second unit is about publication cycle. The third unit is about traditional publishing, what is a traditional publisher and the pros and cons of it. And the last one is about open access. The conclusion of these courses is that the publishing system is undergoing a deep transformation, and that traditional publishers will play an important role in this change. Also, open access has revolutionized the scientific publishing field by making research results available to a much wider range of readers than was previously possible. And this 4EDB is an opportunity to provide professional development and career to all of our employees, and also contributes to reach our mission and vision, that is to develop a research of excellence which integrates knowledge and innovation in health. Thank you very much for your attention, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Rosa, for your presentation. We are moving on again to the colleagues of the Institute of Mathematics and Informatics for their presentation of the courses they delivered within the ISPAS project. So I'm leaving the floor to Konstantin again.
Thank you. Give me a second to share the screen, and we're good to go. So, as it was mentioned, the Institute organized 3 courses and co-organized another one with our gracious guests, hosts from Fondazione 1563. Eventually, we opened all 3 for international participants. Not only science communication for researchers, but also the other 2. And we already heard a bit about the science communication course. Thank you once again for mentioning it during the package. It was indeed a rather broad course, and it will probably develop some changes into smaller, but still self-sufficient parts. But we did so a lot of participants there. On the other hand, we had this very small educational innovation course, which was highly specialized and not in a field usually considered innovative, because, well, education is, how to say, a naturally conservative field when it comes to secondary education. And this hinders some initiatives, and furthermore, it's frequently outside the scope of PhD studies and more in the field of teachers' professional developments. Still, we had 4 applicants in the course, although not all of them participated in it. The structure was to consider well-known forms of extracurricular activities, to understand them and to show how to innovate by keeping the structure, in order how to use a well-known structure and use it to propel your own innovative ideas. And this was Olympiad competition, science fairs, and summer schools. Lectures were brought from the Institute of Mathematics because it has more than 50 years of experience in this field, and those were people who are currently working on this. This was Professor Emil Milkelevich, Associate Professor Stanislav Harizanov, Albena Vasilieva, and the author of this presentation. Main problems, as I mentioned, how to innovative in a conservative field, use the scaffold of existing activity for innovative initiatives, and how to implement your idea on various levels, on a community level, on a district level, on national and international level. Either how to gradually expand it or how to adapt it depending on the resources you have and on the responsibilities you have. Main approach was to formulate the framework with numerous existing examples, with discussing strengths and weaknesses of what we have, and then give time for the participants to develop their own idea. The format, it wasn't supposed to be in person, it was supposed to have job shadowing, but sadly it had to be virtual. The practical examples were supposed to compensate for the lack of shadowing. It was intensive format with workshop type lectures. What we had as major takeaways, the good that the matter turned out interesting, although niche. It's appropriate with young researchers with interest in teaching, and even in the focus groups we found that there are researchers with teaching interest. And it's, as I said, immediately recognized as useful in professional education. Major takeaways, it is really niche, and it will benefit from physical format a lot. The future of the course, it's developing well. It will be repeated in an adapted form for educators starting next week under a program from the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences, and I've already had to send the short abstracts and so on, so that I'm going back to Sofia on Saturday, and I'll have a meeting for the next edition of the course on Monday. It is part of the approved PhD course curriculum of ISPAS, so it gives credits. And furthermore, can be partially taught as a reading course now that we have materials for it, which can be combined with existing materials by the Institute of Mathematics. Second course that I'd like to mention is the course that we did with Fondazione, Computer Science Fundamentals for Digital Humanities. The field is undeniably important and has interdisciplinary character, which brings a lot of peculiarities, and is sadly not covered in many PhD programs. Structure of the course consisted of 4 modules developed by ISPAS before the final workshop here in Fondazione. We had a 2+3 structure with basics of cryptography and steganography. These are the theoretical foundations of computer science that would be later considered, and 3 practical modules. User experience, introduction to databases, something very important, accessibility. Lectures, again, were narrow specialists in the field. Professor Boyvalenkov, took over from Dorka Alexandrova, delivering the cryptography lectures. Steganography was given by Associate Professor Hristo Kostadinov and UX and databases by Dr. Todor Bronzov. Accessibility was delivered by Dr. Neguslav Sobev, again, a narrow specialist in the field whose research is focused on it. Sorry. The main problems was to give the PhD students who are with rather diverse backgrounds. We had from astrophysicists to specialists in literary criticism and history of literature, to understand both worlds and the need of both worlds. What do you do as someone who is delivering such advices and services to humanities organization? What to do if you are requesting them, and how to bridge that, and how to do both. We also had a lot going on how the underlying theory impacts practice, and sometimes theory is closer to the practice, for example, when it comes to UX. Sometimes theory is less close to the practice when it comes to security. And finally, it was very important to convey that the reality is rather imperfect, and one has to be very, very adaptable in everything he does in this field. The format, it was supposed to be in person in both Sofia and Turin, but was implemented in a hybrid format. Online lectures, and again the workshop for which we already heard a lot by Foundation 1563, and deep respect to them for organizing it and in a wonderful way. It was a very intensive format with one module in each day, with a homework, and then with a 3-day workshop, and with a final presentation of the 3-day workshop. So students indeed had a lot going on, but the ones who completed the workshop were indeed very capable PhD students. Again, the major takeaways. The importance of the topics was confirmed by the participants, and we saw participants coming up with their own questions for their own data. We saw participants discussing with us what are the jobs in this sector, because they're considering potential future jobs in this field after they finish the PhD. And we saw participants finding materials very close to their own study just in the floor below in the archive of the Foundation. It was a course that proved to be appropriate for several fields of study and several career directions, although it was connected with the weakness that we need to make people understand how the other side thinks and what they want. And it provided immediately applicable skills as seen by the way the PhD students completed their assignments. On the other hand, it does indeed sound scary. It was very intensive, so modifying it by changing the modules a bit and stretching in a longer period of time, maybe giving 2 modules at a time, would alleviate this. And again, one can easily find himself overwhelmed with the vast difference in backgrounds of the students. The future of this course is also relatively good. We might consider splitting the 5 modules into 2+3, as I said, and we'll see. But in this form, it's already in the approved course curriculum in ISPAS. So students will receive credits. They will have a PDF version of their certificates sent to them. I mean, if they need the physical certificates, we will do that too. Luckily, it can also be taught in partial as a reading course. That's why the 2+3 split can be useful. Also, the workshop is invaluable in order for the course to have its completeness. So future editions will rely on cooperative efforts. Seeing that I already took some time, thank you for the attention. I'm open to questions and discussions. And once again, I'd like to thank our partners who spread the news for our courses, our partners from Fondazione for the joint course, and you as an audience.
Thank you very much, Konstantin, for such an interesting overview, and thank you very much for your very active help in coordinating together with us the workshop that you just described with the 5 PhD students who came here. It was actually great to see in person the students after a long time of doing online activities. So far we've been talking and presenting the training courses that each of us delivered within the project. So we thought it would be interesting also to hear the voice of the final end users of our courses. So to hear the voice of some PhD students that attended the courses that we delivered. That's why we decided to invite some of them to join us today for a roundtable where they will be discussing some suggestions and some ideas that could be also interesting for us to further take on. This roundtable will be moderated by Barbara Moroni, who is a third-year PhD candidate at the Department of Veterinary Medicine at the University of Turin. And she's former representative of PhD students for life science area, and she's also a member of ISPAS local advisory board. And I will leave it up to her to introduce the other candidates. Thank you, Barbara. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much for the introduction, and also thank you for the opportunity to moderate today this roundtable. So I would like to start introducing the other PhDs. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I would like to start introducing the PhD students that today will be with us in this round table. So we have Paolo Marcoccio from the University of Stavanger. He is a third-year PhD student in physics and astrophysics. Then we have Maria Pashinka from IMIBAS. She's a second-year PhD student in informatics. And then we have Erminia Andreu from the University of Girona. She's a third-year PhD student in tourism. And then we have finally Tučke Karatas, sorry if I pronounced it in a wrong way, from the University of Torino. She's a third-year PhD student in Tech for Culture. Okay, so welcome. And so you can open your microphone and you can speak now. And so first of all, I would like you to say which courses within the ISPAS frame you attended. And then we will start the round questions.
Okay, I attended storytelling course and fair data management.
Okay.
I attended the educational innovation course and the computer science essential for digital humanities course, but without the part without the workshop part in Torino.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, I'm Paolo. Actually, I attended oh my God, there is a bit of echo, sorry, 1 second. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Correct.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm Paolo. I'm from University of Stavanger, and I attended the Digital Humanities course in Turin.
Okay, really well. I think that all the...
Yeah, I am Tuce. I also attended the workshop, Digital Humanities in Turin, as well as a couple of ISPAS training courses such as storytelling, fair data, and open science, A to Z. So,
okay.
yeah, a bunch of them.
Okay, that's really nice to hear that some of you attended even more than one course. And then also it's really nice to see that you are from really different field of studies and really distant universities as well. So I also attended one course, which was the one held by Elena Giglia, the Open Science and Fair Data. So we can also confront on these aspects. So I would like to start asking you some questions about the international framework and networking within the ISPAS courses, because as we have seen this morning, the courses that were offered by ISPAS were really international in the real sense of the word, and you are also from different institutions. So I would like to ask you, what do you think about this international environment that was created within the ISPAS training courses? And even though some or most of the courses were unfortunately held only online for obvious motivations for the pandemic. I would like to ask you if you think that in the future perspective, these courses maybe can be held also in presence, if you think that maybe it would improve the future courses, and what are your thoughts about it? So maybe we can start the round as your presentation. So Herminia can start.
Okay. An international environment, it's always interesting. As you see, I'm not a young student, so I've got some experience in that already. So for me, it was another great experience to share knowledges and also the different backgrounds that we were participating. This is the positive point of view, and then there is, on the other hand, the difficulties of different backgrounds too, so that they provoked that during the courses there were some students, some attendants who didn't understand totally all the informations that were given. And as it was in a virtual system, yeah, we have the option with the chat to do it. But it's true that for me personally, a hybrid system, it's better, because you can then exchange directly and it's more active. But it was very interesting while talking about the international environment.
Right, that's really interesting to see that maybe even the pandemic gave us some useful insights on this. So, Maria.
My experience with the international part of the courses is kind of limited, since I mostly focused on the education and innovation course, because the two courses overlap. And there was a smaller number of participants. The main thing that I can say about international participation is that it would really benefit from in-person courses, since it will be more relaxed, and we can see face-to-face more easily. And so the body language, I think, will give better, how to say it, better way to communicate between us. That's all that I can say about the international environment, and I am really sad that I couldn't participate in the workshop. I think that would have benefited me a lot, but these are the times and we work with them.
Meeting is being recorded. Okay, thank you, Maria. Now it's Paolo's turn.
Okay, in my opinion, let's say having a very international environment and having the chance to have, let's say, in-presence courses is extremely fundamental, especially for PhD, because let's say in the digitalization gave us this illusion that we can effectively reach everywhere in the world without having to put much effort. But I mean, one of the main points in the PhD career, and I guess all professors know that well, is also the part where you have to build a strong connection with other competent people, because that's how you will give rise to new project and in general how you will manage to have a good and creative exchange of opinion.
Yeah, that's also really true, and I agree. Okay, so Tuccia.
Yeah, I would agree with, especially in presence of the workshop. It was very interesting to see different perspectives, also from the different backgrounds. So I think it was very fruitful at the end of the workshop, and I was very happy to meet other people who have somehow connection with Italy, but other than that, like using just intellectual knowledge that we share, all of us. So it will be, I think it was very interesting for me as well to see at the end.
Okay, thank you. Really interesting points of view, and also it was really interesting to see that you have different points of view. So the next questions are about the transferable skill training that you had the opportunity to have with the ISPAS course. And oh, sorry, I missed one point. First, the interdisciplinarity and quality. I would like to ask you, well, actually, some of you already touched this point, because I would like to ask you how far were the courses that you attended to your actual PhD course, and also if you found applicable the knowledge that you acquired in the courses for your PhD. So basically, if you actually found something that you can really actually apply in the course of your PhD in the ISPAS courses.
Shall I start, maybe?
Yes, please, Herminia.
Thank you. I'll talk about the storytelling course. I've got some marketing background, and it's always interesting to review the storytelling use. And as my PhD is related to marketing tools as co-creation with young residents, I can really apply some of the things that were said during the course. So for me, it was an interesting review. And at the same time, I just maybe some aspects that I could forget sometimes. It was really interesting for me to review them, and then I can straight away use them because I'm doing a tutorial approach. So it's going to be useful for me. On the other hand, I will one of each. Talking about the fair data management course, for me, it was extremely dense, too dense, and I really problems following this course because maybe it's something really new for me. I didn't think so, and when I asked to participate, I thought I was able to follow it, and it was too dense. So I'm still reading it and reading the materials that you sent and trying to understand how to apply all the things that were said in this course. So anyway, both courses had been interesting for me when we talk about implementing them at this moment now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Arminia. Maria, you want?
As I said, I participated in 2 courses. I'll firstly touch about the education and innovation, since I've heard it's more focused towards teaching and high schoolers. This course was interesting for me, and because apparently for students with greater possibilities who want to further their education and to further their knowledges in the fields, there are apparently a lot of places that they can do that. And in part, a lot of my colleagues in the Institute of Mathematics and Informatics are taking part in that education. And this course opened my eyes into for future possibilities for my career, partially teaching maybe, and taking part for such extracurricular activities with students that want to continue their education in colleges and universities. So I found that course very interesting and applicable for my future career. The other course, Digital Humanities, my main focus was to look at computer science from a different point of view, and the most interesting thing for me was the accessibility part, since computer science can and informatics and technology as a whole can really better the lives of people with accessibilities and their education and actually everyday life. So that was very beneficial for me to look at what I am doing in my PhD from another point of view, and where it can be applicable, another place that it can be applicable, and again it can be used for different career paths in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Maria. It was really interesting. So now Paolo's turn.
Okay, so in my case, as I said, I followed the digital humanities course that, as Konstantin was pointing out before, had a really vast program that required a vast set of skills coming from different fields. So indeed, what can happen is that maybe you wouldn't be able to catch completely all of the modules, but I mean, at the same time, the strength in having a, let's say, a course that is this deep is that, let's say, everyone can really take something that will be easier for him to catch given his background. And furthermore, what I noticed is that, especially at the time of the workshop, we could really see how all the different skills can, let's say, work together in order to build something that really required the effort of all and all the modules at the same time. So, furthermore, actually, an additional point, indeed, I think that keeping the course as fast as possible is indeed good, because when we will effectively move from the PhD, which is an highly, let's say, specialized sector, to the world of work, we don't know where we are going to end up with. So having a general idea of, let's say, the point of view of different fields indeed can help in this phase.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Paolo. You also touched some points that I wanted to ask you later, so that's interesting. Thank you. And Tucci?
I think the best aspect of this overall ISPAS for me was each course had kind of a flow of somehow connecting each other and following the same path that I'm using in my research. So we started with open science and fair data, which which is actually my topic, my interest. And then we take all these parts into the storytelling. And then I remember that we had at the same time had kind of assignment that we supposed to deliver an article. And then I use these skills to write this article according to this storytelling course. And then, of course, digital humanities was also a part of this path that I follow, that is basically based on the user experience. But overall, I would agree that all this interdisciplinarity that we need at the moment, I think in the academia, which I'm kind of a fighter in this topic to be more interdisciplinary, is very relevant to my professional career as well. So I'm really glad that I think it's also nice to pick whatever you want to pick. I remember I was very secure in the topic of database and user experience, but I had no idea about the cryptography and all these things. So it was kind of challenging, which is, I think, a good opportunity to grow.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. I also wanted to add something about the Open Science and Fair Data course, because it's the one that I attended. And I found interesting what was said by Erminia, because I also found it really dense. Dense in the sense of really dense of new concepts for me, and I think for also many of the other participants. But what I found really useful and interesting was the fact that I could really apply the next day or the very day that I attended the course, everything that I learned from Elena. Because as PhD students, we are meant to publish papers and to do science, no? So it was really shocking for me to know all the things that were explained really well by Elena. And for me, it was really the very next day that I could apply, for example, the preprint, no, or the management of the data in a different way, which I used to apply. So yeah, for me it was really useful. So moving to the next and last round, I would like to talk about a little bit more about the transferable skill, okay, that we already talked about maybe now, but I also would like to talk about the future perspectives in academic and non-academic academic context. Within the courses that you attended in ISPAS. So do you think that the skills that you acquired in these courses might be useful for your academic and or non-academic career in the future? And also, what kind of recommendations would you do for a better training on academic and non-academic jobs after the PhD? These are the questions.
Okay,
That's a lot, I know.
I need one day to answer all your questions, but I'm going to try to be, so I'm going to straight away. So talking about, I will add that I've used to the course of fair data management. The same day, I just restructured all my data of my PhD. I created the dossier and all the things that she recommended us. But apart from that, trying to answer to your long questions, my future perspectives of these courses, it's going to be, obviously, it's going to be fair data management, because I would like to publish too. And for the applying at the academic environment, it's for sure that I will do it. But in the non-academic one, talking about my activity, my professional activity now, I'm a teacher in France, and I will probably apply some of these storytelling examples or way of doing things that were said during this course, and I will apply them in my courses. So yes, it's obviously interesting to have this opportunity. And the recommendations, well, I will say that I really miss the coffee breaks exchanges, and not for the coffee and neither the pastas. I'm missing them, because when we do coffee breaks, we used to have the best exchanges with the participants. Is when we really create connections, because what I've missed during these courses is the fact that we could have exchanges only the participants, you see, during the coffee break, and that we can really create these connections, internationally talking with different fields. And that's what I've missed. So I don't know if it would be a recommendation, but maybe to create a small room after the course or while the coffee breaks, just to give the opportunity to the students to have some exchanges, to say, hey, what are you exactly doing? Well, I'm working in that thing and that topic. Oh, it's interesting because I'm doing that other topic, and maybe we can find some, points in common. That's the only recommendation in brackets that I would give, because the courses were well organized. Maybe the second thing I would say, maybe invite some professionals from the topics that we are learning about. Someone applying them in the real world, that would be interesting. I'm thinking about storytelling. For example, inviting someone who's using these methods to sell them goods, maybe, and that they present us the example or the case. Maybe this would be a second recommendation, because the rest, it was really fine for me.
Okay, thank you very much, Herminia. Maria?
About the using skills acquired in the courses, I kind of touched previously. Most things that I think might apply in the future are the ones from the education innovation, since I would like to work with more students in the future, hopefully. The only recommendation, I would agree with Arminia, that the coffee breaks and the interaction with people is really missed in this virtual environment, but hopefully things will change for good in the future.
Okay, I think that we all agree that that the presence, like the same as in the conference, that we miss coffee breaks and some exchange together and in real life. So yeah, I can also agree with this. Paolo?
Yeah, so for what concern, let's say, transferable to academia and outside academia skills, in general, I will say that, let's say, it's extremely hard to find knowledge that can't really be used after a while, because, I mean, the idea is that as a PhD, you're basically working for building new knowledge. But the idea is that the knowledge is also itself a product of mankind, because even the law of physics, for example, is just a mathematical structure that you impose upon nature, but is the point of view of a man. So indeed, having the widest possible point of view can only help whatever you're doing. For what is about maybe some improvement that can be made, I would say that actually maybe giving the opportunity of having, let's say, all the, let's say, the notes of the various modules beforehand can really help, because I mean, I know that averagely speaking, the life of PhD is a bit busy, so it can happen that you miss something here and there, and having the chance to integrate can really help on, let's say, getting as much as possible out of a course.
Okay, yeah, I also agree with this. Okay, the last one, Tuccia.
A couple of adding on top of all the feedback that I would agree. I think what I like about the course of Elena, that she created a group of people to discuss further this issue, and then we are getting in touch with her, and she's already like advising us on this topic and sending some conferences. I think that works really well for me to stay connected. On the other hand, Discord as a application, as a software, I don't think it's quite interactive, and I think it's fairly new. I mean, it is interactive and it's the hype software at the moment, but I don't think it's necessarily a good platform for us because we couldn't really follow the discussion or interact with each other it didn't, at least for me, it didn't serve as a Slack or any other like basic group discussion, like the group email exchange in the Gmail is also enough in this topic. But I would agree with this, putting all the work, the coursework and all these issues as a open course, like massive open mooch, they say, like this kind of storing them in one field, so we can go and revisit all these things, and then we can also interact with each other to follow up this discussion and the network. Because I was very amazed on the workshop that we were, sorry to say that, but we were having a couple of coffee breaks for you as well. So we were interacting a lot. So it was a lot of, like at one point we had like 10 minutes or 15 minutes to finish the assignment, but we were still discussing in the coffee break. Then it all came up very perfectly, in my opinion. We were working on the different issues, and it was kind of like an organism that we were doing the parts, and then it all became a physical project. I think this kind of this is a reflection, in my opinion, to all these transferable skills that we put on this physical project. I almost feel like we are working for the Fondazione at one point, because it was a real project, because we had the database creator talk to us, and then we were actually using all these skills that we learned applied into these projects, which I think was very insightful and helpful. Other than that, I think it was overall, like, I would like to keep on this network and like outside of academia as well, because I think outside of academia we don't really have, especially digital humanities course, like digital like it was very focused on the digital technologies for the humanities, which is very rare at the moment. I think the balance was really nice, and I would like to take this opportunity also outside of academia as much as and also the fair data, because publishing and public engagement, as Elena pointed out, it is really important. If you don't publish your data into the audience, so it's very, I think it's very isolating as a researcher. So I would like to interact more in this topic.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I agree. I think it's very isolating and desolating. So yeah, thank you very much And I agree with your point of view. I would have liked to attend the workshops as well, even though I couldn't. So I just attended the Open Science course, but my recommendation is very similar to yours, because I think that making workshops and practical works after the theory for us PhD students is really important. So to put in practice what we have learned from the theory. So the course made by Elena Gia was really dense and intense, and was already really long. So I know that was maybe too difficult to do these kind of things. But in my opinion, maybe one thing that could be useful for the future might be to implement the course with some practical workshops, for example, to organize a data management plan with your data, and trying to put hands-on your actual work. So sorry if I have maybe been a little bit too long, so I don't want to steal more minutes to the next speaker. I would like to thank you all for your participation to this roundtable. It was really nice to hear your point of view, and also what you think about these courses from your perspective, which are really different and vast, because you come from different backgrounds and different institutions. So I think we can close this roundtable session. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much from, I think, all of us partners, to Barbara and Erminia, Tucce, Paolo and Maria, for really giving us your feedback and your opinions and your, I mean, this is very important to us, you know, especially in case we have the possibilities of continuing to deliver these courses. You are the final user, so it's fundamental to hear your thoughts. So thank you very much for participating in today's session. We're moving on, because we're running a little bit late, to the next and final speaker, who is from Eurodoc, Sebastian Dahl. He is a member of the International Advisory Board of ISPAS, and he will be giving us also his feedback on our courses that were submitted to Eurodoc. So let me introduce him. Sebastian is a General Board Member and Coordinator of Research Integrity and Assessment Working Group at Eurodoc. So please, Sebastian, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. Let me also share a short presentation that we prepared. So I hope you can probably see the presentation now.
Yes, we see it. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I'm very happy that you invited us today, my colleagues and me, and that we had also the opportunity to review the courses and provide feedback on this. As a very brief agenda, so I would like to start now with a short introduction to Eurodoc, just to give you the background information, and then go briefly through some terminology, some positive aspects, some suggestions for improvement, and some maybe more general concerns. So I hope that I'll manage this in a brief time, so that we maybe can pick up on the agenda again, on the schedule for today. So Eurodoc is a grassroots organization. It was founded in 2002, so we're having our 20th anniversary this year. Eurodoc currently consists of 29 national associations representing early career researchers. These are doctoral candidates and junior researchers, so young postdoctors from 26 European countries. It's a non-profit organization, so main parts of our work are, or currently exclusively all our work is volunteer work, and formally we're based in Brussels, but doing most of our work online to bring more people internationally together, of course. And the majority of the things that we do is being done in 10 external working groups with people participating from all countries, from all associations that are our members. We already see that many practices are changing, and also today we saw many really great approaches, many great things that you have put up, and these are quite representative, I think, for how generally culture in science is changing, and open science, open innovation are a very big part of this. And among this also the expectations of PhD candidates and also the role of doctoral candidates are quite strongly changing. And this is also represented in the European Charter of Researchers. We find similar phrasings then in Salzburg principles. And in general, when we see these kind of changes, this is also something where we believe it's important to have this reflected in the terminology and how we express ourselves. And one aspect of this is using the term doctoral candidates or PhD candidates rather than students, because there's quite a difference between bachelor and master levels and the expectations and the roles that doctoral candidates are fulfilling. And I'm very happy to see also this is quite consistently used throughout the ISPAS project. So this is something we positively noted, and still want to give as an example how in many cases also terminology matters, as this is starting to make a change and represent the change that's going on. Speaking further of terminology, we already heard today that open science still has a limited reach, a limited awareness among different fields of science. Particularly, we had such remarks by Elena for the EOSC and for the course that she introduced us to. And at Eurodoc with our colleagues, we understand this is at least in part also related to the understanding and the interest in open science. And in order to increase the awareness and in order to increase the impact and the actual practices, we feel that really well, clarity and consistency are needed and maybe need to be improved among us. This is not generally a critics of the courses that we reviewed, but just something where we noticed that it seems in some of the materials that there appear to be different usages of some terms or different terms for the same items. And so this is something that was very clear for us, but maybe might not be as clear to other people who just get started to get used to these topics. And so particularly for open science and the context, we would recommend to quite firmly stick to maybe the Foster open science definitions, because these seem to be the most widely accepted ones, most broadly used ones, and probably also most well-defined ones, let's say. Another point where also terminology is mattering, and this is something where I'm going to get back to in the later part of the presentation, are the intended learning outcomes. Now, pedagogical work is not my core education, only it has been on the side and similar for some of the other colleagues. So we don't feel in the right position to talk much about the teaching philosophy, much about the theory behind this, but at least in a very pragmatic point of view, if we're talking about goals, aims, objectives as our intended learning outcomes, these are the function of this is not for them to have them per se, but they're in a way they're a tool. Meaning you set aims in order to align yourself with what you're aiming at, and you set aims or goals or objectives so that you can afterwards check whether you fulfilled these objectives or not. And similar is the intention for intended learning outcomes, right? So you can align all your teaching with the ILOs and check afterwards in the assessment of the students if you're actually reached what you tried to teach. And so this kind of constructive alignment is something that we find is very important. And in order to be effective with that, it's needed to be quite specific, quite measurable with these kind of phrasings. It doesn't quite matter much, I believe, or we believe, which kind of taxonomy you're using for these kind of things, but just that the phrasing really encompasses this idea to make them usable for this purpose. Now, in general, we found very many really great things in the courses that you provided, and all the feedback that I'm giving now, of course, is solely based on the materials, on the written materials that we got. There were many other aspects that also were mentioned today, but these were there at the time when we prepared our feedback, so I'm going to rather stick to the written materials. And particularly UNITO's open science and fair data courses. These are really very well designed, and I think can serve as a role model for how to design such courses for reusability. The syllabus is really well designed. There's proper duration for the contents. The teaching materials are all openly published through Zenodo, so you can reuse them. So this is all really arranged very well, and also the pedagogical means, as far as we can see them in the materials, are really very well arranged. So we absolutely liked those courses very much, but also the other ones. So social media communication in general is a topic that's underestimated and not well enough taught, and having then such a practical approach to combine the lectures and directly the application is something that's very useful to also then last in the longer outlook after the course. And this is what we also heard at the round table today. So we like that very much. The biobanking course has really nicely arranged sections in the general structure. Provided this, as far as we understand, this is a rather short course to really just give the start into the topics. And similarly for intellectual property rights and for asset management, these are topics that in if we look for funding and for project management and these things, IPR and asset management take a huge role. They're quite overlooked in many fields of science, despite being probably also useful there. And the modules and the sequence of the contents are really nicely arranged to provide the start and yeah, get the grip of these topics. Generally, there were a few things in the materials that we would suggest to be improved. One thing I already mentioned are the intended learning outcomes. So we feel in all of the courses there might be potential for minor improvements. Specifically though, in the biobanks and the social media course, the intended learning outcomes might really be rephrased in such a way that the materials that you provide really will be more useful also for other people to use them. Of course, you have these objectives, these ideas in mind when you provided the course, but after all, the idea is that this can be used in a broader context, right? And so then having this phrased more like this understanding of the objective as a tool might really help also for a wider impact of these kind of outcomes. We found that in the social media course there were some missing details, so maybe these can be provided still, and that also in the biobanks course there were some informations giving in let's say in locations that surprised us. In general, when we were looking through a curriculum and found to the large part something that appeared like a video transcript, and the materials there were really useful, but maybe the structure or where to locate which kind of descriptions might be somewhat improved. For some more general concerns or some more general comments, so both the biobanking course and the intellectual property rights and asset management courses, these seem to target relatively narrow audiences. And on the one hand side, this can be a benefit to be really specific to exactly what this kind of target audience need, what these kind of fields or subfields are expecting to be really useful to them. On the other hand, the topics and the contents that are actually covered within the courses might be quite helpful to also broader audiences. So this might be something where you could take a look and maybe extend this in the future. Also in general, as I mentioned in the beginning, in the motivation, we see these changes to the research culture. And this is something that maybe could be extended to a wider extent, because this is something we really urgently need to equip our doctoral candidates and the next generation of researchers with, to shape science and research in a proper way. As for some of the specific questions that were provided to us or that were suggested for our feedback, a number of pedagogical means are not really well able to evaluate from the materials that we got, and also for reproduction of the courses, maybe by other groups. This might leave some questions open, and so this could be something to be improved upon, where at least for now we can only give limited feedback. And a similar point, is applying for the assessment measures, how the students are assessed after the courses. This is hardly possible to really assess from the materials that are provided and are published, but might be something that's really worthwhile to define in more detail. Also, again, for the reuse and the wider spread of the contents. And finally, also the networking part that we heard in the panel discussion is such an important point also for these kind of courses. Seems to be something that might be more explicitly covered in the theoretical background in the materials that you publish to the courses. And yeah, with this, I would like to finish my overview. I'm happy to take any questions if there are any, or any discussions. And yeah, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Sebastian, for this very accurate analysis of our courses. I don't know if Mikhail or any of the partners wants to respond to any of the points that were mentioned by Sebastian.
Yes, thank you very much, Sebastian. The feedback from both PhD candidates and from Eurodoc is very important to us, and I'm very pleased that you pointed out to the educational aspects of the deliverables, because there's no doubt for me that these will have to be improved and the information will have to be added before we can sort of post the final versions of the descriptions of the courses on our website for the others to use. I do not have sort of questions. I've read your feedback before, and this is something that we will be discussing in the future among the partners. So thank you very much, and thank you very much for finding the time to collaborate with us, because you represent a very important body of stakeholders that we are working for and now working with. So I hope that in the future, if we decide to go for another project in the same pillar, the Eurodoc will be willing to participate.
Much for the positive response, and we were very happy to provide our feedback and our perspective. And of course, we're absolutely open to do this again if there's an opportunity in the future. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, okay, thank you very much, Sebastian. I think we are coming to the closing of our morning. That was very dense of contents. Before I leave the word to Mikhail for the final remarks, I want to thank all of you partners on behalf of Fondazione for your collaboration and for your dedication to the project. I want to specifically thank Mikhail, who decided to be the coordinator of this project, because I know it was a lot of work, and for his constant dedication to the project and the passion that he put into it, because I still remember when we first met and we were discussing the idea, and then he decided to be the coordinator. So thank you very much. This wouldn't have been possible without you. Thank you to all the partners, particularly to the University of Torino for all the support with the organization of the Fair Data Workshop and for the help in general with the organization of this final event. So special thanks to Chiara and Elena, and special thanks also to the colleagues of IMIBAS for their great help with the in-presence workshop that we were lucky to be able to host here in February. And thank you all for coming here, which is not the least, something to mention because it's the first time that we see each other in 1 year since the start of the project. So I'm leaving the floor to Mikhail for the final remarks, and then we can close. And thank you for our audience as well.
Thank you very much, Virginia. I will be quick. I just want to sum up what we actually have done. So we have 8 courses that have been designed and tried out. These are 5 courses that are part of the work package 2, led by Chiara. University of Torino. These courses are Open Science A to Z, Fair Data Basics, Storytelling, designed and delivered by Fondazione 1563, a case study designed and delivered by Fondazione 1563 with Torino, and Science Communication designed and delivered by ISPAS from Bulgaria. We have also 3 courses that were designed and delivered as a part of the Work Package 3, led by Juan Carlos Martinez from CEEI Burgos. These are Open Innovation, Entrepreneurship, and Digital Humanities. The last one was designed and delivered by ISPAS from Bulgaria, together with Fondazione 1563. In addition, we have created PhD candidate survey. This work was led by Professor Germain Coenders-Galart from the University of Girona, and this survey has been mentally validated, and is available now in English, Catalan, Spanish, Norwegian, New Norwegian, and Bulgarian. We also can show to the dissemination and communication results, with Zenodo and Twitter being the most popular platforms when it comes to the number of hits. We also have courses that have been designed and hopefully will be tried out in the future. And with this, I would like to thank you, first of all the partners and all those, of course, all the PhD candidates that participated in this meeting now, and all the friends and supporters. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think we can now close today, and we hope that this morning was of interest. If you want to learn more and if you want to see the outcomes of our project, please go to the ISPAS website or go to Zenodo, where you will find all the materials that we have just discussed. And thank you to all the partners again, and to our audience for participating. Thank you and have a good day. Bye.